Bot matches have always been one of the most underrated features in any type of video game. Think back into any multiplayer game you enjoyed when you were younger. Can you go back and play them right now? I mean, sure, let's say you enjoyed TF2 when you were younger. You can go back and just play the multiplayer of it right now, and there will be no problem. I mean, the game itself doesn't get updated anymore, but hey, people are still playing it, and you can play it too. But what happens when it does die off? What happens when its player base diminishes to the point where nobody's really playing? And what happens when you don't really have a good internet connection and you can't really connect with the people that are still playing because they're playing on way far off servers that you really don't get good connections on? Well, that's where bots come in. Bots are just magical. They can allow you to play any game, any multiplayer game that is, whenever you want, however you want. You can customize matches, you can change certain aspects of it. Now sure, TF2 has a sort of limited bot experience, but there's this great mod that allows you to play with so many options as to bot support. Hell, you can even get any map working on this mod, unlike the very few options that there are in the game itself normally for bot matches. Now you can play fucking special delivery. You can play any map, any even Halloween maps outside the season. And you can even make it so every bot has different weapons, different customizable weapons that are all from the different loadouts you can equip from the game. I think that's pretty cool, although I haven't been able to get that second mod working yet. One day. Anyway, there's also something else bot matches are really good at, and that's customizability. There's this franchise of games called Plants vs. Zombies. I'm sure most people know about it. But they have the third-person shooter versions, the Garden Warfare games. The Garden Warfare games are technically 3 games, even though they're really only 2, because one of them is basically sort of a weird spin-off sequel thing. Well, the first one has almost nothing in terms of single player content, man. You can basically not play it alone, which is sad because in my opinion it is my favorite when it map wise and even a lot of times gameplay wise. It's a shame because its maps are incredibly vertical and really crazy and really well done, and I like that about it. But unfortunately you can't really play it that much, especially on the PC. I mean, sure, other platforms still have decent player bases. You can find some good matches depending on where you live. But if only the game had bot matches. Oh wait, the sequel does. Garden Warfare 2 has bot matches. It not only has bot matches, it has a story mode. It has a small hub world for you to explore and do little quests in and fight enemies. And it has fully 100% customizable bot matches. They can play in almost every game mode, basically every map, and of course they even allow you to add in silly customizations to the thing, like low gravity, infinite ammo. That sort of stuff really helps out with a game just lasting forever. Seriously, while I cannot really play the first Garden Warfare that much already, because there aren't that many people playing it, the second Garden Warfare will be available to play for as long as its servers work. And even after that, if they just update the game to allow me to play offline, they'll be working forever. That's it. The game might just be eternal now. I can play however I want, however I like it. As long as my computer works and as long as there's a way to play it, I can play it. Of course, Star Wars Battlefront is another good example of it. It's a franchise that for a while was sort of famous for its split-screen co-op modes. Its instant action was always one of the favorite game modes, and it's always played by most players nowadays. In the end, the fact that those games have decently extensive bot matches and offline support, as well as some good mods, that really helps out the game lasting forever. Which is more than I can say for the first DICE Battlefront, which has very little offline support. It has offline modes, but it's just not that much, which they are completely fixing with Battlefront 2. which has a lot of offline support and seemingly getting more and more all the time. More maps, more things to play with. Instant action finally came back a while back, and that's really good. It's great, because unlike the first DICE Battlefront, I'll be able to play it forever now. I know a lot of people are like, oh, bot matches are just for people who don't want to play multiplayer. And yeah, there are a lot of people who just play bot matches because it's easier, you know? Like I saw this video of a guy explaining how to get bot matches working on Fortnite. That seems really interesting, you know? Fortnite is a game that once its popularity wanes out, it's gonna be harder to find actual matches. Because, you know, each match requires a lot of players. But the fact that it has bots in it, which is something I didn't really know up until recently, that means that you can probably play forever now. Which is great. Although, unfortunately, the way that he explained it, he was like, and that way you can feel like you're the biggest badass in the place. You can feel like you're a Fortnite ninja. And I don't know if that's a good way of explaining bot matches. That's not the justification that should be used for bot matches, you know? When I demand bot matches be added for the newest Plants vs. Zombies game, Battle for Neighborville, since it has a good amount of single player content already, a small multiplayer hub that you can go around and explore a bit, some extra secret stuff to do as well, a bunch of stuff to collect, like it has a lot of stuff to do, but you can't play bot matches. Why can't you do that? That should be a feature that stayed with the franchise. And it's weird because PopCap has said nothing about adding it again. It's just odd that after Garden Warfare 2 made this huge step ahead, they just regressed on it. It was one of the main announcement points of their E3. We got bot matches, we got full bot matches you can play forever and ever now. But it's just, now they don't advertise like that. Now it's just, it sort of feels like the game was a bit rushed, I guess, you know? Like, we didn't really care to put bot matches in it. It's another thing with Battlefield games as well. They used to have bot matches, but nowadays, not really, which is odd. I mean, they have sort of small bot support, but not really full bot support. It's weird because Call of Duty still has bot support even in its newest games. Meanwhile, Battlefield is just like that. Watch him announce bot support for Battlefield 5 immediately as I publish this video, and people get mad at me for saying something that is wrong, even though I recorded earlier. Jeez. Also, sorry for that Doom Eternal video, that was kind of bad. But there's another thing as well. Doom Eternal, Doom 2016's multiplayer mode, that had bot matches. I mean, I can play it. It's fine. It's a multiplayer mode. It exists. That's it. That's life, you know. I don't know what else to say. I feel like bot matches are important due to game preservation. That's one of the main reasons they should exist. You know, the only way I shouldn't just be able to play a game's 5-hour single-player campaign whenever I boot it up. You know, I should be able to have access to all its modes, even years afterwards. I get it that it's somewhat of an undertaking sometimes to add full bot support to everything, but it works out on the long run, you know? In 50 years from now, you can get your old, broken down, rusted PC going at a few matches of Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, Team Fortress 2, Battlefront, Modern Warfare Rebooted, all those games, you can play them again and again, forever. Unlike all the other games that get shut down, all the MOBAs, all the MMOs, all the games that simply do not work without multiplayer. All those games will be gone. But these games that are able to be played on your own, they'll stay here forever. They'll never be gone. And there's something good about that. Hell, that was one of the main points of the Doom video. I don't want a part of the game's content to be gone years from now, you know? I want it to be available for everybody forever. I guess that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Bot matches rule. If you don't like bot matches, that's okay. If you don't like bot matches, seriously, like, tell me why in the comments. I genuinely want to know some justifications against them. I could see some people making decent points, but let's see.